All right.
So glad we got to bring the camera over. So let's get started, everyone. Let's go ahead and start by lying down on our backs. So if we're looking for ways to come down to the floor that could protect the body, we could always take one foot back, lower a knee, bring the hands down onto the floor, and then maybe swing that other foot back. From here, we would swing the feet around, and then to come down to lying on our backs, we could always lie down on our side and then roll onto our backs. So going from standing to lying down on the ground involves what we call some functional movement, and sometimes we need a little bit of assistance in getting up and down to the floor. So at your leisure, of course, at any time, come down onto the floor, however it feels right for you. You don't have to follow that path. Many paths, one destination, lay down.
Does it make any difference which direction our head is?
No, no. Just wherever you feel you can hear me best. That's it, wherever you can hear me best. So from wherever you are, let's take a moment and check in with the breath in our body. We may want to place both hands on our belly so that we can monitor the rise and fall of the stomach. As we inhale, feeling the navel rise up into the hands. And as we exhale, the belly softens and it lowers down to the spine. In our minds, we may want to imagine a balloon in the belly, somewhere between the belly button and the spine. When we inhale, that balloon inflates and it expands 360 degrees. So maybe feel for that breath, not only rising up from the belly, but also expanding out to the side body, possibly even moving into the low back and the hips. You're welcome to let this breath grow into the ribs and up into the chest and heart area. Maybe fully filling the lungs, breathing into your side body, breathing into the spaces under the armpits, breathing up into the shoulders. Let's try a few heavy sighs with our exhale, releasing any excessive tension that might be hiding in the body today. Let's try it together. Draw in a big breath in through your nose, and then exhale. Some nice big sigh of relief. Let's try that a couple more times. Big inhale, flare out your nostrils, and then big exhale. Good, complete release. Big inhale and exhale. Great. From here, let's draw our knees in towards the chest, and we may want to hold on behind the knees or on the sides of the thighs. We could always rock a little bit side to side to loosen up the hips and the low back. Let's come to any still point and stretch the legs, lengthening them out. Point and flex the feet, just working some movement through some of these joints before we do a lot of weight bearing. Checking in with the range of motion in our ankles and feet. Maybe even working with a little bit of coordination, noticing if you can roll one ankle clockwise and then roll the other counterclockwise. And then maybe reverse that out. Sometimes we call these egg beaters, like a good old-fashioned egg beater. When you're ready, let's soften the knees, slowly bring the feet down to the floor. And as we inhale, let's let those arms rise up and stretch overhead. If there's any pain or tension in the shoulders, bend the elbows and maybe keep the arms closer to the body for that arm and chest stretch. When you're ready, let's place those hands down beside the hips. Take the feet out, maybe as wide as your yoga mat. And let those knees go into a gentle sway. So we're moving into windshield wipers, windshield wiper knees. We may want to match our breath to the movement, exhaling when we twist, wringing out the spine, inhaling through center, exhale with the twist. Let's refine that movement a little bit, make it a little smaller, just half your effort. And then make it a little smaller again. And then a little bit more, eventually coming to a still point with the knees. Walk the feet into about hips width. Let's press the palms down into the floor. And as we inhale, we'll tilt the pelvis, pulling the tailbone off the floor, creating a contraction in the belly. If it feels right for your body, push into the feet and lift the hips, maybe just a few inches away from the floor, into bridge. Exhale, lowering down the hips, relaxing the sacrum, the low back and the pelvis, neutral pelvis. Inhaling, lifting the hips, slowly peeling up. Exhale, lowering the hips. So we'll keep that rhythm with each inhale and each exhale, and you have the opportunity to add in a few things. So hold at the top of the inhale, engage the inner thighs. Imagine a yoga block or a beach ball between the knees, keeping the thighs engaged as we exhale and lower down. Inhale, soften the thighs, push into the feet and pull back through the heels without moving the feet, pulling back through the heels as we inhale and lift the hips. Pause, engage the inner thighs, Mula Bandha, engage the muscles in the pelvis, exhale to lower. Lower down, release the pelvis, pull the heels back, press down, inhale into bridge, Setu Bandha Shavasana. Engage the inner thighs to lower down. Let's do maybe one or two more like that. Pulling back through the heels, noticing the muscles that engage behind the knees and behind the thighs. And then squeezing the inner thighs together, lowering down. Maybe one more. Pausing to feel that the spine is neutral on the mat. Let's inhale, taking the right arm up towards the sky and maybe even all the way back overhead so the palm is up and the knuckles are touching the floor. We can extend the left leg down and out on the floor. Maybe we have a flat foot and we can experiment with turning that big toe straight up towards the ceiling. Stretching from the left hip all the way up to the right armpit. Let's find a 3-part breath here, breathing down into the left hip, through the belly, up to the right armpit. And then exhale, relax that shoulder, relax the belly, and relax the hip. Let's do this a couple more times. Inhaling, hip, belly, armpit. Exhale, relax. Draping the breath across the body. When it feels right for you, let's lower that right arm and bend the left knee. Slowly switching sides, taking the left arm up and maybe all the way overhead, palm facing up, knuckles on the floor. Extending the right leg down and out on the floor, pressing through our heel, rotating that big toe straight up towards the ceiling. Practicing 3-part breath with a diagonal awareness, breathing down into the right hip, through the belly, up to the left armpit and chest. Exhale, relaxing that arm, the belly, and the hip. And doing this a couple more times, feeling for the breath, noticing that through mindfulness, we may be able to shape the breath in the body. We can guide it into very specific places. After this next breath, let's lower our arm. Let's bend both of our knees. Draw both knees into the chest. Bring the hands on top of the kneecaps and just circle the knees out. Let's create some circles in any direction. Reversing that circle at any time. We could always match the breath up to the movement, exhaling when the knees come in, inhaling when the knees move away, inhaling through the nose as much as possible, exhaling from the throat. Lips might be together, or we might feel that we want to exhale with that heavy sigh. Noticing if the body maybe feels more or less comfortable with a specific direction, just making a mental note. When it feels right for you, let's lower our feet down to the floor and go ahead and let the knees sway over to one side. Let's lie down on one side, holding here in a side lying position. Let's find the breath in the back of the lungs. Breathe down into your low back. Breathe into the middle back. Breathe up under your shoulder blades and the armpits. Let's use our top arm for support, pressing our hand down into the floor. Pressing up, we can walk our body around to face the front of our mat to find all fours. Taking this into our cat and cow flow. Find a foundation that's comfortable for your body. So noticing how we feel when we press into the palms of the hands, stacking shoulder, elbow, wrist. If there's any discomfort or distracting sensations in the body, you could always come down onto the elbows for cat and cow, or you can fold up the top of your yoga mat and then put the heel of the hand on a small perch. This will change the angle of the wrist, and also it prevents the fingers from having to spread out. So just like we have arches in the feet, there's an arch in the middle of the hand, and sometimes when the arch drops or we hyperextend the fingers, it can create comfort. So this little perch can create some more comfort. Let's notice that our knees are stacked under the hips and the feet are straight back behind the knees. Just for today, maybe we touch the toes together and pause for a moment. Notice if that changes any sensations in your body. Does it feel better to have the toes touching or to have the toes straight back from the knees? You can flex or point your feet. Let's bend the elbows a little bit. Elbows out to the side, roll the elbows back so that when the elbows bend, they bend back towards the thighs for stabilization. From wherever you are, drop the belly, flip the hips back, and begin to lengthen through the sternum, allowing the head and the neck to lengthen only as a natural extension of the spine. The advanced version is to lift the edges of your mouth. That's it, just smile, just smile. On the next exhale, let's draw the belly button up and drop the head and the neck. We can flow this one breath, one movement, dropping the belly, inhaling into cow, and pulling the stomach up, exhaling into cat. So I consider this more of a traditional cat and cow, hinging at the waistline for cat and cow. Notice any sensations in the body that would tell you that, that maybe there are places that have an injury, or maybe there are places that are tender in your body. Just making a note of that with this cat and cow movement. Now, another way that we can do cat and cow to maybe experience some different sensations is to initiate the movement just from the hips. So as you're holding all fours, to initiate cow, we may want to slowly tilt the hips back first rather than dropping the belly. It starts with a hip hinge back and then slowly begin to lengthen and lift the head last. Same with the exhale, moving into cat. We initiate from the hips. We start pulling the tailbone down, flattening and rounding the low back, rounding the middle back. Last of all, relaxing the head and the neck. So we might experience very different sensations by approaching the asana in different ways. And maybe check in, does your body like more one than the other? Is it possible that your body feels more comfortable with moving a certain way? So we're just beginning to learn or explore. There are different ways to move. There are different paths that the body takes in moving through a variety of movements. And we may notice that one way works better than another to protect our bodies. If you're feeling any tightness in your hips or back, try exhaling from your throat as if you're going to fold a mirror. Exhaling. As we soften the jaw, we could also relax the hips a little more by relaxing the jaw. Let's do one more. Exhaling with that ha breath. And then finding neutral spine. From here, let's extend our left leg straight back with a flat foot. We might even tap that toe down on the floor to take some pressure out of that low back. We can experiment with lifting and lowering that leg. Inhale, pressing up through the heel. And then exhale, slowly lowering down and tapping. Just noticing any sensations in that extended leg. Maybe even noticing sensations in the right hip as we have that part of the body stabilizing us. We could always bend that left knee, pressing up through the heel. Inhale as we press up to open the hip. And then exhale, point the toe, round the spine, and let's draw the knee in towards the crown of the head or the chest. So it feels a little bit like cat and cow. Inhale, pressing back and pressing up, maybe looking forward a little bit. Exhale, pointing the toe and bringing the knee in. If we're noticing any tightness in the hips, I know some of us had some flights and some longer commutes. So if you're feeling any discomfort in your hips, relax that jaw, cranial sacral connection. Ha. You can try a ha breath on that exhale. Ha. Move the jaw around. Let's do another one and maybe try a lion's breath, sticking the tongue out. One more, either ha or a lion's breath. Ha, ha. When you're ready, maybe let that leg come down. We can always reset the hips. You might notice some sensations in that right hip as it was stabilizing the energy in the pelvis for us. If your body wants a down dog, you can always shift forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and maybe even pedal through your downward facing dog a little bit. If for any reason we're feeling uncomfortable in down dog, you can still work in that leg stretch from being down on the floor with sort of like an adaptive runner stretch where one leg can stretch back at a time. So we don't have to be inverted. We don't have to have that compromise in our blood pressure to get that leg stretch in today. Whenever you're ready, let's take our time and meet in any all fours position, either on the elbows, fist for wrist, or palm of the hand, whatever's working for the body in the moment. Let's extend the right leg straight back and lower the toe down to the floor. Notice the way that the hips are leveled left in comparison to right. And just think about trying to level the hip. Maybe we even drop that right hip just a little bit, and then maybe open the right hip just a little bit, so that we get a little bit of perspective as to where the hips are in time and space. You can roll that right hip down and in towards your left knee, and then lift that right hip up. And then from that perspective, notice where the hips feel leveled for your body. Pausing, let's find the breath. Inhale, hovering the foot, squeezing through that right glute. Exhale, lowering down. Looking down at our mat to keep the neck and head neutral with the spine. You could always pause at the top of the breath, maybe just pause with the fullness of the breath in your body and notice that engagement of the glute and buttocks region. Notice the feelings in your left hip stabilizing the body. We can take this into sunbird by bending the right knee. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, pointing the toe, rounding the spine. Inhaling back, sunbird. Exhale, knee to chest, cat expression with the spine. Adding in your ha breath to experiment. Exhale, ha. Adding in lion's breath, experiment. Let's add in Vastrika. If you're still getting familiar with these terms, it's a forced exhale, it's a big inhale, forceful exhale. Now one or two more of whatever you want to do. When you're ready, take your sweet time. Let's reset the hips. It might be child's pose. It might be a down dog. Anything goes here for the back. You can let those hips shift and sway left and right. I see that we've all chosen Balasana, child's pose today. So let's work a little stretch into the side body from Balasana. Let's walk our hands over to the right edge of our yoga mat, maybe even walk them off the floor. And what you can do is take your left hand under the right arm. And what you'll do is you'll continue to push into your right hand. And when you push away with that right hand, it'll drop the weight down into your left hip. Then reach across more with that left hand while you're pushing with the right hand. Let's think about breathing into the side of the body, into the left side of your body. Breathe down into your left hip, through the ribs, and maybe exaggerate that breath under your left armpit. Noticing any sensations that might arise either at the top of the breath, maybe after the exhale, and anything in between. We're just checking for mobility and maybe even any tightness around the ribs, intercostals, and serratus muscles. When you're ready, walk it over to neutral. This stretch can be very different from left to right since we have different organs on different sides of the body. We walk the hands over to the left. Take the left hand under the right. Push away with that left hand. So you drop the weight down into your right hip. Roll. You can even roll that right hip just a little bit over and then keep reaching with the right arm. Big stretch. Breathing down to the hip, through the ribs. Big inhale at the top of the breath under your right armpit. Noticing any shifts in sensation with the breath. When you're ready, let's walk the hands around to center. Moving into extended child's pose, so hovering those elbows over the floor. Let's shift forward and back a few times, introducing a little more weight bearing with movement in the shoulders, shifting forward into an expression of a kneeling plank, and exhale, press it back with the heels. Inhale, shifting forward. Let's tuck the toes under, pressing back, noticing any sensations that change in the feet. Inhaling forward, option to pause, toes are tucked under, maybe lift one or both knees off the mat. Taking it back to down dog or child's pose, allowing the body to choose for us, listening to the body. Let's practice that maybe a couple more times. Inhaling forward, option to lift one or both knees off the mat, and then pressing back. Now, if we want to maybe just evaluate where the core is today, we can inhale forward, either with knees down or up, and just start alternating, either lifting a knee or dropping a knee down to the mat. One knee down at a time. Let's even this up for our bodies on left and right, then reset the spine in down dog or child's pose. Looking between our hands, let's extend the left leg up towards the sky. We might want to bend the knee and roll out that knee a few times, circling the knee. This could also be done from a kneeling position, so we could be in all fours, circling that knee at any time to work with that hips range of motion. Change directions whenever it feels right for you. Noticing if the hip catches or gets a little kink at any time. When you're ready, lower that foot down. Option to shift forward into a plank. Exhaling, low plank, chaturanga. Inhaling to up dog or cobra. Exhaling back, down dog or child's pose. From down dog, we can stay here and lift the right leg, or we can come down into all fours and lift that right leg. Let's bend the right knee. Circle the knee out. Match the movement with a breath. Inhale when the hip opens. Exhale when the hip closes. When you're ready, bringing both feet or both knees to the floor. Inhaling forward into any expression of a plank. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, pressing back. Looking between our hands, let's lift our left leg, lunge the left leg forward. Inhale, rising both hands up towards the sky. Big breath in our lunge expression. We could have that right knee down or lift it up away from the floor. Let your body choose for you. Exhale, swan dive. Sweeping the left foot back, either a three-legged dog or a sunbird expression. Let's try a couple bastrikas. Point the toe and a forceful exhale with that knee to the chest. Big inhale, 1, 2, 3, come forward. Inhale, take it back. And 1, 2, 3. All right, let's lower down that left foot or left knee. Lift the right leg up. Lunge it through. Let's set the foot down towards the hands. Finding your lunge position. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Big breath in. Exhale, swan diving down. Taking the right foot back, sweeping it up, either three-legged dog or sunbird. 2 bastrikas. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. One more, inhale, 1, 2, 3. Let's lower both feet or both knees. Reset the hips. Now just let your body decide for itself. Does it want to step to the top of the mat or take a single hop to the top of the mat? Let your body decide. Having the feet at about hips width. Let's bend the knees deeply, reverse swan dive, rising up towards the sky, extended mountain. Exhale, relax the hands into traditional mountain. Take a moment, shake off the shoulders, shake out the knees, move the feet around. Maybe even grab a sip of water. I think, by golly, we have figured out how to adjust the temperature in this room.
We got it.
We got it, we got it. So, let's see. So standing at the top of our mat, mountain pose. Let's inhale, extending the arms up and overhead. Big breath in. From here, continue to reach with that left hand. Let's lower the right hand down beside us. We can look up, straight ahead, or over the right shoulder. There's plenty of time to experiment with this so that we notice different sensations that might come up when we look in different directions with the head and the neck. What happens if you move towards comfort? Where does the body feel most comfortable? Most people will say neutral or over the right shoulders. Just let your body go where there's more comfort. Press down into that outer blade of the left foot. From here, if you want, try bending the left knee. So it's going to create even more of a side bend on the right side of your body. And we're opening up the stomach, the side waist, the intestines on the left side of the body. Take in a big breath and reach. Exhale, let's straighten our left leg, bring that left arm down. Take a moment, just notice, does it feel different now from left to right? When you're ready, slowly take that right arm up, big inhale. Let's check in with the head and the neck. Looking up towards the hand, straight ahead in alignment with the heart, maybe over the left shoulder. Is there a difference if we bring our chin in a little more? Or if we lift the chin a little bit away from the collarbones? Making any subtle adjustments and noticing where is there the most comfort. Let's go there with the head and the neck. When you're ready, press down into that right foot, then inhale from your hip all the way up, stretching from the armpit region to lengthen the side body. Let's bend the right knee just a little bit. It's going to drop the hip and open up that energy over your liver. Remember to smile. Big inhale, especially on this side, because the liver releases anger, which means the liver can hold anger. So smile, let it go. Exhale from the throat. Anger is a heat energy. So maybe exhale and imagine you're like a fire-breathing dragon, and you're gonna exhale this red, hot energy. It's not a bad thing to have anger. It's not a bad thing to let it go or to hold on to it. When you're ready, slowly come to neutral. Take a moment standing in mountain. Notice any subtle shifts or differences in the sensation, both inside the body and outer awareness. From here, let's check in with our feet for any shifts. Maybe have the outer edges of the feet in line with the outer edges of the mat, establishing a strong mountain base. So keeping in mind that mountain can be interpreted as having the feet out in alignment with the flesh of the hip, or it could be more comfortable to have the bones in alignment with our pelvis bones. So if you were to make fists with your hands and put your thumbs out from the pelvis bones, if there was a line coming down with a weight on it, going straight down, that line would move past the kneecaps, down the ankles, and maybe over the second and third toe. Feet are curious creatures in individuals, so maybe around the second and third toe. Now, let your body choose for you where is there the most comfort with your stance. There's not a right or wrong with this. It's just tuning into your unique body mechanics and sensations. Let's soften the knees. Inhale, flying the arms overhead. Big breath in. Maybe turning the palms back and flattening the palms. Pushing up towards the ceiling, just checking in with your sensations. And then exhale, fly it back and around. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Maybe turning the palms behind us. And then as if you're gonna hold up the ceiling, raise the roof. There you go. Yeah, now Jim got it. Now he gets it when we do Club 54. When you're ready, take it back. One more, big inhale. Palms back, flat palm, push up, noticing any discomfort, any sensations that shift, and then exhale back. Good. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Let's step the left foot back, a casual stride, just a very short stride. Taking a look at our feet, let's lift that left heel and turn it back so that we can track our toes forward. And we might even be able to bend both knees a little bit in this position. Still pressing back through that left heel in this more conservative warrior one stance. So we know, based on body mechanics, we know the farther back this leg goes, the more it's going to rotate out. Therefore, we're going to keep it slightly short in the stance. We're shortening the lever length or shortening the stride. That way we can keep this bone rotated in. From here, let's sweep the arms behind us, chest expansion, stacking the right arm on top of the left, keeping the chin down, inhaling, chest expansion, pulling up from the ribs, dropping the shoulders back, lifting the head and the neck. Exhale, let's straighten the right leg, press the hips back. You can always keep a little bend in both knees, and that could help to unlock the hips into a really exaggerated hinge, eventually relaxing the head and the neck, shaking the head out, yes, turning the head left and right, releasing the hands down towards the floor. Hands could also be on a yoga block. They could go on the thigh or the shin to support the body. You are more than welcome to hold it here, tune into the sensations in the hip and the back. Practice bending that left knee just a little bit, maybe even peeling up the left heel and bending the right knee a little more. So there's a little more weight bearing in the right foot. Option to hold it here or walk those hands forward and lift the left leg into an expression of a standing split. Noticing the sensations in our standing leg down into that right foot, being aware of the energy centering itself in that right foot, inner blade, outer blade, heel, and the ball of the foot, all the toes spreading for security. When you're ready, slowly lower that left foot back, seeing that the stride is still short. Let's press down into that left heel, bend both knees. Let's walk our hands up onto the right thigh. Having both knees bent. Remember cow pose here. Move, hips back, chest high, belly forward. From here, let's take our right hand, bring it forward and around a few times, and maybe gaze in the direction of that arm rotation. Inhale as you open, and exhale as it closes. We could always do this with an elbow to check in with the side ribs and other parts of the body. Reversing that rotation, inhaling to open, exhaling as it closes. Either with an extended arm, long lever length, or with the short lever, elbow. Take the right arm into a clockwise circle, reaching forward, up and around, and place the knuckles at the low back. From here, keeping both knees soft, keep the chin in to soften the head and the neck. Exhale all the way and pause. Let's pull the belly button in and up in that space. Then swivel at your waist into a small twist to the right. Soften the belly. Maybe look up over that right shoulder. Breathe into your upper right lung. That is the most open space right now. Let's explore that more open place for the breath. You're always welcome to straighten that left leg. Maybe even straighten the right leg, either one or both. Since we have our toes forward, when we bend the knees, they go in the same direction as the feet. One more easy breath. When you're ready, soften the knees. Let's come around to center. Stepping forward. Inhale, reaching the arms up and overhead. Anybody, was your right hip talking to you a little bit? Exhale into chair, sweeping the arms back. Maybe bringing those hands up to shoulder height. Experimenting with a little bit of rotation. If we turn the palms up, maybe it feels different. If we press out and press up, that could create some different sensations as well. Try breathing using the space under your armpits. Flare out the side ribs. Imagine you're like a fish, flaring its gills out to filter water. Move the side ribs. 2 more easy breaths. When you're ready, let the arms come down. Inhale, standing tall. Circle the arms, sweep it overhead. This time stepping the right foot back, a casual stride, casual warrior 1. So we're keeping this stance really short because as this femur bone rotates, it's going to create a different type of angular pressure in the joint when we twist. So we want to keep this heel back and toes forward. That way when we choose to twist in the sequence, the joint is a little more open, more mobility. From here, having the short stance, we can bend both knees, seeing that the knees move in the same direction as our toes. When you're ready, inhaling, opening to a chest expansion, stacking the left arm over the right. So a little bit of coordination involved with this, with the dominant arm versus dominant hand. From here, let's exaggerate the chest expansion, expanding breath. Inhale around the heart, bowing out the chest. Maybe 2 more big inhales. With the next exhale, we can come forward, pause for a moment, knees bent, flip the hips back, just like cow pose. Let's press our belly towards our thigh, relax the head and the neck. Shaking out the head, shake it yes, turn it left and right. When you're ready, let the hands come down towards the floor. Maybe shifting forward a little more, peeling up that right heel, just giving the body a taste before we even lift that right leg. Giving the left leg a taste of what it is like to put just a little more weight into the foot. Now allowing our body to choose, we might shift forward and lift that right foot away from the floor. You could even extend it up towards the sky. Standing split can be done with the hips very squared and leveled, or it can be done with the hip a little more open. Notice what feels right for your body. Finding the breath, relax the jaw. Is it possible that the pose changes a little bit when we exhale from the throat? When you're ready, let's soften that right knee, placing our right toe on the floor. Feet are still fairly close together. Pressing the right heel down, we bend both knees. Walk the hands up onto the left thigh. Both knees again might stay just a little bent. Let's remember cow pose, hips back, belly leading, collarbones and chest are open, circling around counterclockwise with that left hand. Either a long arm or an elbow circle, matching the breath. Inhale as you open and stretch the side lung. Exhale as it contracts through those outer rib muscles. Reverse that movement at any time. Maybe a clockwise circle. Allowing the trunk of the body to follow bits of movement with the rotation. Let's take it into that one counterclockwise circle with the arm, bending the left elbow, placing it near the hand near the low back. From here, the spine stays long. Exhale all the way, pause. Pull the belly button in and up. Or you can act surprised, like the same sensation you would have if somebody slipped ice down the back of your shirt. You would just exhale all the way. And then 1, 2, 3, surprise. Turn at your waist, adding in that little twist at the waistline. Maybe straightening that back leg, your right leg. Maybe straightening the left leg. Option to open the right palm so the palm is out. So it can be an expression of almost like a warrior one or a pyramid twist. It could be more of a revolving triangle expression. Breathing into that upper left lung, the path of least resistance for the breath. One more big inhale. When you're ready, let's slowly unwind the body, unwind the spine, step forward, having the feet open to your body's interpretation of hips width. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Exhaling, sweeping back and around for chair. Maybe turning the palms up, maybe even bending the elbows in towards the waist and pushing up through the hands. And then reaching the arms out, noticing if that changes sensations around the spine or the back in any way. So just approaching different postures with different transitions to discover where the sensations might change. When you're ready, exhale, swan dive. Let's relax towards the floor, letting the head hang nice and loose. Let's try a few heavy exhales here and notice if that creates any changes in the feelings in your back and spine. Maybe the spine releases a little more with those heavy sighs. Just tuning into that intimate connection between the body and the breath. Noticing how the breath can be helpful in a stretch or where our breathing could be hindering a stretch. One more heavy exhale, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. When you're ready, let's walk the hands up to the thighs. Pause for a moment, check in with the body, and then slowly make the way up into standing. Let's shake out our legs and our arms. All right, let's move into just a little bit of a standing upright balancing practice with the tree pose. There are a few interesting ways that we can work with tree pose, especially if you're really familiar with it. I encourage you to change it up today. So traditionally in tree pose, we begin with the hands at the heart and we'll shift our weight over into one foot. Let your body choose. I'm not going to teach left or right. Let your body choose whatever it wants. We're lifting our other knee, maybe with a flat foot. This is a technique used to stabilize the kneecap. Then we can open the thigh and place that heel or toe anywhere from the floor to the leg, keeping pressure off of the knee joint. You're welcome to give your foot just a little lift if you want to give it a boost. If we give the leg a boost, let's just check in and adjust the posture so that we're standing tall in the pose. Let's look down past our nose, past our cheeks, find a point on the floor, a place that is still, and maybe using the mind's eye, maybe close just one eye, still focused on that one point, then close the other eye, and see using the mind's eye, experimenting with tree pose. Steady the body with an internal drishti, internal focal point. Notice if your body has a tendency to pull forward or back, to the left or to the right, and with so much awareness, counter that pull, counter that energy to center the self. Practice Mula Bandha. Does that change the pose at all with the practice of Mula Bandha? When you're ready, let's set both feet down on the ground. Let's give the body time to feel fully supported by the earth in the soles of both feet. All right, so as we are going to try this on the other side, you're welcome to move to a wall if you want to try this with some wall space, or hold on to a chair for support. Again, we're shifting the weight into one leg, lifting the other leg, rotating out, and we could stand by a wall. We could even stand with our back in to the wall for support. Closing the eyes as an option, finding that focal point first, lowering the head, lowering the chin, Jalandhara Bandha, using that throat lock energy to help us to focus, pulling the muscles up in the pelvis, maybe even pressing forward just a little bit with the hips, tucking the tailbone down. Arms might come away from the body for balance, like a tightrope walker. Steady the body, steady the breath. Continuing to breathe easy here. Maybe just another couple breaths. When you're ready, opening the eyes, anchor the gaze. Let's step down onto the floor, move the feet around. Let's take a moment while we're standing, maybe like a minute or two, to let the body do anything that feels natural right now. So if there's just any type of stretch or movement that your body is craving, you're welcome to just engage in any organic movement. Surely we've all had just very different lives this past week or through the past year. We might need different things to center ourselves. So let your body do anything at all that feels right for you. usually will make our way down towards the floor into any easy seated position. If we're looking for ways, again, to come down to the floor, we could always also use a chair. So this is not only for ourselves, we're working with clients one-on-one. We might want to have a chair to take one leg back, bringing ourselves down into a supported lunge, and then maybe we walk this foot out, and coming down, we could even swing it out a little bit, and then bring our hands down, coming down onto the floor. So once again, many paths. There are many, many different ways that ultimately, hopefully, finding a path where the body feels confident and safe when we're moving up and down. From here, let's extend the legs out and shake off the knees. Let's feel for some space under the kneecaps so that we avoid locking out that knee joint. We could stay seated flat where we are, or take your yoga mat from behind you and roll it up just a little bit. Of course, if you have a blanket, you can sit on the edge of a blanket. Placing the yoga mat just under the hips. We're gonna create this small perch, and then we kind of just let those sits bones or those hip joints roll off the edge of that tiny lift. This is a technique used to encourage neutral spine or a neutral tilt in the low back so that we can maybe get a clear picture of where our mobility is in the body. So standing forward folds, usually we feel more range of motion than a seated forward fold. When we're seated, we have pressure and we have information feeding into the hips, which can cause certain insertion points to be tense. So if you're noticing that you don't move as far forward in a seated forward fold, that's common. That's actually normal. From wherever you are, you can again straighten those legs as far as they want to go. Keep that little pocket of air under the knees. We just want to avoid locking out the joint. From here, let's inhale and lengthen the spine, remembering cow pose, or even that sensation of surprise, like ice drop down the back of your shirt, just a quick lift. So we engage some of those muscles in the inner ribs and working with the shoulders down and back. We might even turn the palms up. So we're engaging that pulley system to lengthen the spine, lengthen through the crown of the head. Let's bring the chin down to the center of the chest. Roll along your jawline to the right, and maybe stretch those muscles that move from the ear to the shoulder and down. It is possible to have some tightness in the neck or the head, and that could be pulling on the whole spine, creating back pain and even locking up the hips. So we just want to check in with the whole body. Let's bring the chin to neutral, roll along the jawline, take it over to the left, noticing any subtle differences in the stretch. You can always close your eyes and just, kind of create that curious energy in yourself. Get curious about what's going on in your body. If there's anything at all for us to study as teachers, let's begin with ourselves. Let's study our own bodies. When you're ready, roll along the jawline. Let's bring the chin to neutral, lift the head, maybe turn the head left and right, just checking in. And then of course you can lift the chin up and down. From wherever you are, imagine a yoga block or maybe even a towel between the knees that you're going to squeeze. So we angle the big toes up to the ceiling. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lead with the belly. And at some point, our upper body may want to round a little bit. Let's allow for some natural flexion in the upper back, relaxing the head and the neck. We may want to walk the hands towards the feet. You're more than welcome to hold on to the big toe or even onto the edges of the feet if that feels right for you today in that stretch. If we're reaching forward, let's practice breathing between the shoulder blades. It's an expanding breath behind the lungs. Inhale, pressing the breath up against the shoulder blades behind the heart. Maybe we can even roll that breath up from the low back, through the ribs, to the shoulder blades, a 3-part breath in the back of the body, on the sides of the spine, allowing the expansion of the lungs to massage against your kidneys and adrenal glands. Forward folds are used to balance the energies that are responsible in stimulating the adrenal glands, stimulating the kidneys to combat chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue. Exhale from the jaw. If there's any tension in the low back, pelvis, or hips, we may be able to access that energy through the jaw, connecting fascial lines and energy lines that go from your jaw all the way to your low back and hips. If it feels right for you, stay here a little longer. You don't have to come up. For us thinking about coming up, let's slowly keep the head down. Walk the hands in, stack the spine. Last of all, lifting the neck and the head. So energetically, we build from the bottom up. How are y'all doing? Good? Doing good? All right, from here, let's shift our weight forward. So there are several different ways that we can lie down on the floor. In our level 1 transitions training, we extend one leg out, both hands behind the knee, and then we would contract the body and roll back. Now, for some people, this doesn't feel right, and it could be in cases of spine injury, hip injury, vertigo, blood pressure issues. So as an alternative, we may want to bend both knees and let those knees sway to one side. Then from here, we could gently turn towards the floor, and we can use our hands and arms to bring us down to lying on our sides. Then we can roll onto our backs. Again, there's no right or wrong way. If you have a physician or a therapist that has shown you another way, please feel free to go with their advice. Let's bend both of our knees, pressing the palms down into the floor. As we inhale, let's lift the hips away from the floor into bridge. It might feel different. It could feel different. We've done a lot of different movements. As we exhale, let's lower the hips and rise the arms up and overhead, flowing bridge. Inhaling, arms down, hips up. Exhaling, hips down, arms overhead. Closing the eyes so that we're able to tune into our own unique breath for guidance. Flowing through one more. The next time we have our hips down on the ground, let's lower the hands down beside the hips. From here, let's walk both of our feet towards the left edge of our mat. Then we can push into our feet. That's going to lift that left and right hip. Let your knees sway over to the right. Roll over onto that right hip, keeping the heart towards the sky. To create a little more rotation in the trunk of the body, you may want to lift your right hand, push your right elbow down into the floor. This is going to lift your right shoulder blade And you may be able to drop the left shoulder down. Then, feeling as if both shoulders are touching the floor. Breathing into that upper left lung. Noticing any sensations in the low back. You could always experiment with straightening out your left leg or that top leg and notice if that changes the way your back feels. Maybe even straighten the right leg. Just getting some perspective as to how movement changes the way we feel. You could always stay here, or let's bend the knees, protecting our low back, and roll onto the back. Let's walk our feet to the right edge of the mat. Pushing into our feet, this is going to peel up that right hip first, and already as our feet are over to the right, we're going to feel that the body is wanting to twist. So letting those knees sway over to the left. Taking our left elbow down into the floor, we can push into the elbow, lifting the left shoulder, dropping the right shoulder. Breathing into the right lung. Just noticing the sensations in the body while we're here. After we notice or take a note of feelings in the back and the spine, all the way down to the feet, all the way up to the crown of the head, then let's experiment with movement. What happens when we straighten the right leg? You can press that heel straight down, or you can bring it out in front of you. What happens when we straighten the left leg? Does that change the sensations at all? We can straighten both legs. Just establishing awareness of how the body could be feeling with different types of movement. Feels right for you, bending both knees, protecting the low back, and eventually walking the feet to neutral. Let's draw the knees towards the chest, hands behind the thighs, and if you want, touch the toes together and open the knees for supine butterfly. At this point, it might be accessible, or it might be easier to reach for your feet, or to reach your fingers around the toes into a yogi bind, drawing those knees out towards the shoulders. We can hold it here in butterfly, or start lifting the feet so that the soles of the feet are towards the sky into our happy baby pose, also known as the dead bug. You're welcome to add in a little bit of a rocking motion with this. Keeping it playful and light with the body. It could feel different too if you cross the ankles and hold on to the feet or the toes, or cross the ankles, hold on to the backs of the legs, and then add in that sway with the ankles crossed. Maybe a different sensation here. When it feels right for your body, come to any still point. Keep moving. If your body wants to move, keep moving. When your body wants stillness, find stillness. Take a minute or two and move in any natural way in preparation for final relaxation. I know we all have chairs close by, so I'm going to stand up for a moment in case anybody thinks they want their chair to prop up your legs. So legs up the wall, putting the legs on the chair is a way to do legs up the wall. And some of you had some pretty good commutes to get here. So legs up the wall can be used to promote healthy circulation in the body. I'm going to just walk around the room a little bit. If you want your chair, I'll slide it over to you. You want your chair, Jim?
No, I used to.
Okay.
Sure, that's trouble with that stuff.
Mary, would you like your chair? And plenty of wall space too, so we have that luxury of using the wall also. Since we do have these really nice chairs, some of you have had restorative before, you might know that you can put your chair down at about 45 degrees. You'd want to keep it on the mat so that it doesn't slide on the carpet, and some of you might even be able to comfortably put your legs up on the chair so that it's not so far up on your hip. This can be really supportive. You can even let the legs roll out and they won't fall off the chair. If you have enough props, you could lay back on the chair, reclining position as well, relaxing the head and the neck. Remember, you can move whenever your body wants to move. So I'm going to dim the lights right now. We do have a couple of lamps in the room. I'm just dimming this main top light in the room. So the exit out this room is still clearly lit and visible, and at any time, if you should notice that, that your body wants to get out and get some fresh air, for any reason at all, if you know that your body wants to leave the room, the exit is clear, and you know that you're free to get up and move around at any time. Let's simply bring awareness to our breath in our body, noticing any parts of the body that might be fidgety, any places that might have a heaviness, any places that are light or open, just noticing without judgment. Noticing the extremes that can be in us, that we can be containers for, the extremes of sensations that we are able to contain. Maybe beginning to feel the body from the inside, the expansion of the lungs. We may even feel the beating of our hearts. Breathe into the low back. Be aware of the kidneys. Now be aware of the skin, like a bodysuit. So as we inhale, the lungs inflate and they press up against the skin, which is this perfect fitting, form-fitting, elastic spandex bodysuit. And as you inhale, you feel this bodysuit expand. As we exhale, we feel that energy hug against us. Notice the breath, and notice the breath has its own character apart from the body. There are feelings that the body has, and there are feelings that the breath has. Imagine for a moment that you can take out your brain and set it out beside you. So maybe you feel that the top of the head relaxes, and you can just take out the brain and put it out beside you. So we're clearing out the mind space, separating ourselves from our thoughts. We're able to clearly see just out beside us the mind. And if your mind is very chatty, put it inside of a soundproof box. Just for a moment, we'll be able to see that we are capable of being separate from the mind stuff. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Let's steady the mind. Notice the body, notice the breath, notice the mind, and notice the part of us observing all of these energies. What might it be like without all of this? Without the body, without the breath, the mind, and observations, what is there left to feel or to be aware of? Scan the body with a healing breath. Depending on where you are, whether the feet are up or down or on the floor, lying on our sides or our belly, you may find that this scan can be done in a few different ways. Let's allow a light to appear at the soles of our feet. A bright gold orb of light. And as we inhale, sense that the body absorbs this light, noticing where does it go. So the scan of the body is intuitive. Where does this light go as it enters into the body? Does it move into the soles of both feet, or maybe just one foot? Watching as this energetic guide moves up through the body, making its way towards the crown of the head. It may branch off into one or both arms. It may move straight up the spine, letting go of any judgment, simply following the body's wisdom. This light may pause. It may hesitate. Let it be. Let it be. If it pauses in any one place, just watch and breathe with it. There's no rush. our minds, let's affirm to ourselves, I know what is right for me. I know what is right for me. Breathing in that sense of confidence, this sense of intuitive intelligence, awakening the inner physician. I know what is right for me. At any point, you may want to deepen your breath as this concludes our asana and final meditation. Deepen your breath and let the body decide how it might want to move. We are in different positions, so just allow your body to guide you in transitioning eventually up into any easy seated position. Seated, we can take any mudra or position with the hands, maybe traditional palms together at the heart or hands resting beside you. Let's think about the breath moving from the lower part of the lungs up to the heart, fully filling the lungs, and then letting it go. Maybe again some sighs of relief. If there's any tension hiding in the body, the breath can let it go. From here we can close together with a bow. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.